Let's talk about Texas.
Talk to me about the belief in the fact that we can still make change.
Well, there's like no option to me of giving up. Like this is all we this is what we have to do. Progressive policies that put working people first are popular. In this moment, people are ready to see a real change in Texas.
Texas is right now an amazing force keeping America from going off the cliff.
As goes Texas, so goes America. And as goes America, so goes the world.
It needs to get back to basics of infrastructure and crime.
I'm afraid that folks are forgetting that democracy is fragile and you have to protect it.
The people of this state are going to send a thundering message. You're going to tell them, don't mess with Texas because Texas is never, ever turning blue.
Every freedom, every right, I would say everything that we hold dear is on the ballot in this election.
Okay, let's go. We're gonna walk that now.
Welcome back to the Texas Standard. We are now 2 weeks away from the start of early voting in the 2022 March 1st Texas midterm primaries, and we've got eyes on several races across the state, including Governor Greg Abbott's re-election bid at the top of the ticket.
Lucy, can you remind me your schedule this afternoon?
I might have soccer practice.
So my name's Tori Gavito. I am a lawyer by trade, but I really have an organizer spirit. So everywhere I go, you could drop me in the middle of a small town, I'd figure out at some point how to be mayor or elect someone to be mayor. Hi, Sandra.
Good morning.
When I think about Texas, I see political potential because I can do the math that historically we're about 1 million votes down, but there are over 7 million people concentrated in 3 major cities who are wanting to get engaged. This isn't a non-voting state, it's an unorganized state. And what I like about that better than what we've been saying in the past is it implies that there's work that has to be done. I believe deeply in the story of multiracial coalition building. I know that places like Texas are an inherently solvable math problem. We're typically 1 million votes down, but there are about 4 to 6 million high potential voters who are young and people of color. This is a problem of will, not a problem of if. You can win in cities, that's where our base is in this state. Get new Democrats elected, and then show that Texas Democrats can lead.
My name is Brianna Brown. I'm the co-executive director of the Texas Organizing Project, also known as TOP. So much of the work that we need to do is like helping folks like connect the dots about a different future. Like it doesn't have to be this way, right?
Our goal is to knock on almost 1 million doors during the 2022 election cycle.
That is, if it's we're real underdogs, you know, like the progressive fight in Texas, like when it comes to the kind of resources that are here. I mean, often what we're told is like, you know, on even the progressive side, Texas is too big, and it is, it's gigantic. It's gonna take a lot of investment in order to like actually transform this state.
All right, start, tell me your name and what office you're running for.
Beto O'Rourke, I'm running for governor.
Former Democratic presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke just officially announcing on Twitter that he is running for governor of Texas.
Race for Texas governor. Former Congressman Beto O'Rourke throwing his hat in the ring, challenging Governor Greg Abbott. Beto made the announcement this morning on social media.
O'Rourke's decision to enter the governor's race puts an end to months-long speculation and gives Democrats a strong campaigner at the top of the ticket.
I feel very good about our chances, in large part because of the amazing support we have. These volunteers all over the state of Texas, more than 50,000 of them, who've signed up to pick up a clipboard pick up their telephone, reach out to the voters who are going to decide this election and the general election on the 8th of November.
Does Beto have a chance this cycle? The answer straight off is it's hard. I think given the current scale of resources, I think he needs support. And I think that we should give the support understanding it's a once-in-a-lifetime organizing opportunity that win or lose advances the ball to 24.
We need a change in Texas. We can't have a state where we are pitted against one another, where we are as divided as we've ever been, where we have a governor whose administration has been defined by corruption and incompetence and cruelty. When I am governor, we're going to focus on the big things, on creating better jobs, on improving our public schools, on expanding Medicaid, and making sure that everyone in this state knows that Texas is big enough for all of us.
Yeah, I just tagged you, Stephen. It's on the bottom of page 7. In the Comstock. Lina Hidalgo, Harris County Judge. The title is judge, but it's not really a judicial position, it's an executive position. So I help manage the budget for Harris County, which is the largest county in Texas, size of Colorado in population, about a $5 billion budget, 4.7 million people, 33 cities, and it's home to Houston.
Now to the surprising upset in the race for Harris County Judge.
Yeah, for the first-time candidate, who's never been a county judge, has won the seat. Democrat Lina Hidalgo defeated the Republican incumbent Judge Ed Emmett, to a lot of people's surprise.
The 27-year-old was elected as leader of Harris County.
I feel ready. I feel honored and thankful to everyone who supported us.
Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo is in charge of one of the country's largest counties, Harris County, and is the first Latina to ever hold the job.
I was born in Colombia during the height of the drug war. I never in a million years considered running for office, ever. Or working for government. But after the 2016 election, I, like a lot of people, was sort of like, well, if Trump can run, why can't I? If he can be president, why shouldn't I lead?
2016, to now, we've really taken a beating. Our larger kind of progressive movement has taken a beating. But the Lina Hidalgo's, those kind of wins that, make meaningful policy changes are also really fueling.
I'm not trying to be a politician. I'm just trying to do the work and do good work and impactful work. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, we're headed to the Carver Library, which is a really awesome historic institution here in the city, which is where one of my favorite places to go vote. Today is the first day of early voting in the first primaries in the country here in Texas. I'm Greg Casar. I'm an Austin City Council member, an organizer, somebody committed to progressive change, and I'm running for Congress here in the Texas 35th District from Austin to San Antonio. I was 4 years old the last time there was an open Democratic seat for Congress here in Austin. And so this is a once-in-a-generation or more opportunity for our voters to send a new fighter to Washington, D.C. I think it's really incumbent on people in the Democratic Party for us to stop talking so much about what we can't do and get to work on what we have to do. And I think people want to hear that right now. They're waiting for somebody to come knock on their door and tell them that we know that a better Texas is possible and that the way that things are in this state isn't actually the way that people want it to be.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now!
And that's something I learned on city council, where we did things like pass the first paid sick time laws in the American South. This has all been about organizing people around reducing that inequality, so that by passing this ordinance, if somebody works for a company and somebody else works for another company, there isn't some people with paid sick days and some people without.
Those in favor, please raise your hand. Those opposed? Council members Houston and Troxclair voting no, the others voting aye. This item passes.
Eventually, the Texas Supreme Court got rid of those laws in the middle of the pandemic. But what they couldn't take away was all of the new folks that were organized.
Starbucks workers at more than 100 U.S. stores are on strike today, including this one, a local one at 45th and Lamar.
Through that work and because of those folks, some of those are the same people that are now organizing at Amazon, that won us the first union hotel. You never know when you inspire folks what it is they're gonna do next. Progress is not for some faraway place away from Texas. It is deeply rooted here, so it really is a heart of progressive change, and we just gotta channel that energy into some big wins at the ballot box, hopefully.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
In 2016, when Trump won, one thing that we said was, all right, United States, welcome to Texas. Because for the last almost 30 years, we had been under a right-wing regime.
They have been in power for a very long time. We haven't had a statewide win in 30 years. So in 30 years, they've built all the sort of connections and interests you'd need.
For a generation, we haven't had Democrats in power statewide. That has meant very uniformly right-wing policies to the extreme.
Well, tonight, the fight over voting rights in Texas has reached a new level of hostility.
According to the Death Penalty Information Center, Texas leads the nation in executions each year.
A fleet of state vehicles being used to try to stop those migrants from crossing into Texas. You can see the shift change happening behind me.
$10,000. That's how much money people in Texas can now win in court by successfully suing anyone who helps a woman get an abortion.
This is like a really hard story that we're fighting up against. It's like not just a power that we're knocking up against, it's a cultural shift.
We stand unashamedly on the Word of God in the Bible.
That flag is mine. Don't mess with Texas.
Look, Texas, we're brash, we're not shy, we're sometimes larger than life.
Don't you dare take the name of Texas in vain.
If Texas goes blue, goes Democrat, it's over. Republicans cannot win a presidential election without Texas.
Texas Republicans understand the scale of Texas. They have operations and operators and leaders in every major city. They have outside infrastructure. They've built think tanks. They've built schools. They've built research institutes. The second it's GOTV time, they turn it on like a machine and the whole state moves up. It is well-oiled infrastructure.
We in Texas will come together in 2022 and we will keep this a red state.
There's been a lot of investment and a lot of time to keep Texas the way that it is, and it's gonna take twice or 3 times that commitment to shift it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's just my privilege to ask you to join with me. Give it up for County Judge Lina Hidalgo.
We have gotten a lot done over this past 3 years, but there is so much more work that needs to be done, and we cannot go back to the way things used to work. One of the big issues in Harris County is, environmental issues, pollution in particular. We have a lot of industry. We are the energy capital of the world, or at least this hemisphere.
A raging fire at a chemical plant near Houston is still burning more than 20 hours after it began. The fire spreading to an 8th storage tank full of gasoline byproducts.
So we had this massive chemical fire. It was 3 months into office. It raged for about a week. Lots of air pollution, water pollution. We in Harris County have been monitoring closely the situation at the ITC facility. The first thing that came to mind, besides, protecting the lives of folks around there, was the community deserves to know the quality of the air they're breathing right now. We didn't have the capacity to do that. Literally, the county that is home to all of this industry just did not have the machines needed. So we made the largest environmental investment in 30 years. You know, air monitoring, making sure that we have attorneys and prosecutors to go after these bad actors. We have to keep this county moving forward. That is why I'm running for re-election, and that is why I need your support. I'm grateful for this state and for this community. It gave me a lot. It's a great place. I just think it can do better, and I think we're leaving too many people behind.
I mean, a really hard part of this is the system has been built in so many ways to prevent you from being able to actually make a difference. And they want us to feel like we're powerless. That's the best thing ever for the status quo.
I started as a labor organizer and decided to run for city council when I was 24 years old. And alongside so many of y'all, we went and knocked on doors and talked to people in the community. And what I found was that our greatest opposition wasn't always the other candidates or their corporate backers, that our greatest opposition was talking to people who had lost faith that this democracy would ever deliver for them. And I can understand why people feel like that's politics as usual. But we cannot succumb to cynicism. This is home and we're not giving up. We are brought together here by a belief that is unshakable and cannot be dispelled. That this is our state. These are our neighborhoods. These are our families, and we're gonna organize like hell until this democracy delivers for us here in Texas.
My name is Adri Perez. I'm a policy and advocacy strategist for the ACLU of Texas. I'm a queer, trans, non-binary advocate in Texas and have been for several years. I try to convince lawmakers to care about trans kids as people that deserve to not be attacked as political distractions.
I have dedicated my life to giving back to my community, and I respectfully demand that you look at me sitting here before you today and that you recognize my humanity.
In 2021, there were over 75 anti-LGBTQ bills in Texas, and over 50 of those were specifically attacking transgender children. So much of what I do is preventing medical bans from being implemented in the state of Texas or even in municipalities in Texas right now.
Governor Greg Abbott and State Attorney General Ken Paxton have directed state agencies to conduct investigations of families when they provide gender-affirming medical care for transgender children.
This week, Governor Abbott directed the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services to start investigating gender-affirming procedures for transgender children as child abuse.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want it? Now!
What the state has effectively done by trying to enforce this order is scare parents out of providing this care. And if there are parents who continue to provide this care, the consequences for that potentially are losing your child and then placing that child into a system that they're going to investigate gender-affirming care as child abuse. So my story is a little bit different because my family moved from Mexico to the United States in 1993, shortly after I was born, and they left their lives in Mexico, their whole lives, so that I could grow up in this country that promised a better life. And it is because of my family that I work to fight, protect, and expand the rights of all Texans, because it was their hope that made me realize that a better life here in Texas and a better Texas was something that we would all have to fight for. Transgender people have always existed, and we have always been deserving of the same protections and rights as anyone else, regardless of our age. The actions of the governor, the attorney general, and the Department of Family Protective Services are not only political and symbolic, they will harm families. This is not a theoretical harm. Kids could be ripped from their homes, from parents who love them, and from the support network that they have so carefully built in an already precarious landscape. This is very real, it is unimaginably cruel, and it must be stopped. Like, I do this work because there was nothing that reflected me in my history and my education growing up. I am visibly trans and loud about it because I didn't want another brown trans person to ever have to come out and not see themselves reflected in El Paso or in Texas.
It's hard imagining doing something else. I knew I wasn't gonna be on the sidelines, you know, in the fight. I knew there was a fight from very early on, and that I was gonna be like in it some way, somehow. Organizing, it's felt really like natural to do because it's like, oh, you know, it harkens back so much to, you know, how I was like brought up. I was just so steeped always in somehow like my blackness being attached to like a political reality. You know, when Jesse Jackson was running for president in '88, he came to Lubbock, Texas, and my parents took us out of school. I got to go to IHOP. I had a little sausage in my pocket. You know, we went to the rally. My dad had me on his shoulders, and I was just like in rapture. I was like, what is this? Like, whatever this is, like, you know, I have to figure out a way to, you know, be a part of that. Across the state, we have 300,000 members and supporters.
Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Oh, okay. My bad. Yeah. The heartbeat of the work that we do every day is not just about elections. We want to get great candidates elected that speak directly to issues that are impacting our communities every day. They are also about building real power on the ground. Every door knock that we're going to make today, it's not even about the door knock. It is about building power.
All right. Guys, if you all mind repeating after me, say together.
Together!
We are powerful.
We are powerful!
Together!
Together!
We are powerful.
We are powerful!
When more people participate, that's when our democracy is healthiest. Part of like unpacking that is like an appreciation of like, oh, so why haven't people been able to participate? Why are there so many systemic barriers that have been erected to keep people from participation, right?
This is the toughest state in which to vote, hardest state to get your name on the rolls so that you're registered to vote. And those tactics of suppression and intimidation are not aimed at people like me or who look like me, as they always have been. They are targeted at those who have historically been disenfranchised.
We are willing to suffer the discomfort of change in order to achieve a better future. We have a positive vision of the future founded on the belief that the gap between the promise and reality of America can one day be finally closed. We believe that.
The movement is changing. Like, more people are coming into the fold, which is exciting, and they're changing it, right? We're changing it.
You think of Jim Crow, you think of the South, you think of Texas, and right here in Texas, we had the most participatory, obviously secure election we had seen. It was, you know, drive-through voting and 24-hour voting and 3 times the number of early vote locations and practically no lines.
And as of tonight, Harris County has surpassed its early voting total for all of 2016.
We've seen a record turnout in Harris County and Texas. More than 9 million people have voted so far in the Lone Star State, shattering the turnout record, beating totals from 2016.
When we get elected, like Lina Hidalgo, right, in like Harris County, and you know, she expands the election budget from $4 million to $30 million, and there's drive-through voting and record turnout, and then you have like the state legislature that comes back and like, you know, with this huge like backlash.
Well, I have news for Harris County. You're not the capital of Texas. The state capital resides in Travis County, in the city of Austin, in this building, not in the county judge or the mayor's office. Harris County does not make policy and create law for the other 253 Texas counties. Out of thin air, they decided on drive-in voting.
Our voting innovations, like, those weren't my ideas. Those were ideas that folks had developed a long time ago that had been working on voting rights. But nobody dared do that. Like, people said it was logistically impossible to do 24-hour voting and drive-through voting, and then we did it.
Texas is the latest battleground over voting rights in America.
Governor Abbott has just signed Senate Bill 1 into law. It's the controversial Elections Overhaul Bill.
The Election Integrity Protection Act of 2021, also known as SB 1, bans drive-through voting and changes early voting hours. There are also new requirements for mail-in voting and poll worker protections.
Texas Republicans' effort at passing these voter suppression laws is just that. It's not about election security, it's about voter suppression. And in this instance, it's about suppressing the vote of Black and Latino voters that have been turning out in record numbers in Harris County.
You know, Texas, we want to build where people feel like that they have lots and lots of ways and avenues to participate in our democracy, to change our democracy, and to, you know, continue to dare it to get better.
Voting has kicked off in the Texas primary. New restrictive voting laws implemented by the Republican Party are center stage.
So across the country, more than a dozen states have already passed laws that make it tougher for people to vote. But we're seeing the very first test of that in Texas.
Today is primary election day in Texas, and so it's candidates vying for the first pass, be able to make it to the general election.
Right? Wonderful to see you here. Yes, thank you for working the polls.
A lot of excitement. Of course, you know, I can't take anything for granted. I've got 6 opponents, so it feels like exciting, but also nervous, of course.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Hey y'all, it's Greg and it's election day. It's a lovely, beautiful day to get out there and vote, whether you're in San Antonio, Hays County, Austin, Texas. Please get out there and vote if we want to make this democracy work for us, if we want to deliver a $15 an hour minimum wage, reproductive rights, good union jobs, if we want to tackle the climate crisis. We need you to get out there and vote. And if you've already voted, remind your friends, your family, your neighbors. Get them out there. Polls are open until 7 p.m. tonight. Thank y'all so much. I know that we're ahead. We have overwhelming support, but being ahead actually isn't enough to just win in a Texas primary. You have to get a majority of the vote. So that means you've got to have nearly twice the number of votes of anybody else. And we're close to getting there. I'm prepared that we might not quite get to 50%, which means another 10 weeks of campaigning, and that's fine. We've got the energy and the people to do it, but we're trying to win without a runoff if we can.
At least 38% of mail-in ballots have been rejected so far in Texas' largest county, and election officials and voters are working against the clock to get them fixed.
Solomon, who's here, his dad was a member of Congress, and his dad got one of the rejected ballots for sending in his Social Security instead of his driver's license or whatever. So he had to take the failed ballot application and drive his dad to the polling place, and he's like, his dad is a former member of Congress. You know what I mean? Like, what about everybody else?
Yeah, like I actually had to make a call to somebody to help them with their mail-in ballot situation, like giving out the numbers to the elections divisions and the voter registration divisions and stuff, because we still have people who haven't gotten their ballots. It's insane.
It's been messed up, but
it's crazy.
That's what we're fixing today.
Yeah.
There are leaders championing these kinds of bills who know better. They know that there isn't widespread fraud. They know that this is gonna suppress the vote. I was remembering when I first ran, and remember, Commissioner, I didn't have a primary opponent, and now I have 5 today. But that's because a lot of people didn't think it could be 1. But you guys knew it could be, because these same faces were here back in 2017 and 2018, and that's why we won. And now they're scared because they've seen the change that we've made. It's bread and butter stuff, and that's what government should do. But they're trying to make it about something else because they know if we run on our record, we can't be beat, because it has results. So they're trying to change the story.
and they're trying to throw out lies, and we're not gonna let them because we're in the community. We're in places like this one. We've got an army of people like you guys telling the story of what we've done, of the fight for voting rights for the sake of our democracy. So that's what we're fighting for, and it's a beautiful fight. And we don't need to lie to win, and we don't need to say nasty things. We run on what we've done, we run on the strength of this community and the love for this community. So I'm so happy to see you guys this morning. Thank you for the support.
Right now, we want to get you some updated returns and results, starting with a big race, the governor's race. And the Democratic nomination has been declared by the Associated Press. Beto O'Rourke, no surprise here, the winner with 92% of the vote.
There's no cavalry coming to ride to our rescue. This one is on us. It's going to take all of us doing all that we can with what we have, where we are right now.
Former Austin City Council member Greg Casar declared the winner in the Democratic primary for Congressional District 35. Casar says he feels hopeful in his run for Congress come November.
Buenas noches. I'm Greg Casar, and I am your Democratic nominee for the United States Congress.
Voting results show incumbent Lina Hidalgo taking a lead in the Democratic race.
And then in Harris County, not completely locked in yet, but as you can see, in comparison with the three Democratic opponents, Lina Hidalgo has 70% of the vote.
The numbers are looking so good, and I'm so happy. And I just have to thank each and every one of you, every single voter that came out today, every organizer, and there are so many here.
Because you can win and lose elections, but you don't stop a movement. And you can pass laws and laws can get taken away, but you can't take away the inspiration in someone's heart. You can't take away organizing. And tonight's victory is a testament to that movement and that organizing here in Texas.
So tonight, we celebrate. Tomorrow, we continue fighting. In November, we will win. And we continue being an example.
Now, what I would like to do at this time is introduce to you the next governor of Texas, Beto O'Rourke.
We're going everywhere, listening to and learning from everyone. There's 29 million of us spread across 254 counties, and we have a chance to do something great by and for one another.
We're so fortunate today to have with us someone who cares about every Texan, whether they are from an urban area or whether they live in a small red county like ours. The next governor of Texas, Beto O'Rourke.
We're at a time where this state and this country has never been more divided or fractured or polarized, at least not in our lifetimes, right? And we've got to find ways and reasons and issues that can bring us together.
Beto O'Rourke, the next governor of the great state of Texas. Welcome to America, sir. Welcome.
Before you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, before we define ourselves on who we love or who we pray to or what country we came from originally, how many generations we can count ourselves a Texan, we are Americans, we're Texans, we're human beings. And we have the capacity for compassion and kindness and just doing the right thing by and for one another. And I want us to get back to that. 7 out of 10 fourth graders in the average classroom in the state of Texas cannot read at grade level today. It makes it harder for them to ultimately graduate from high school. I want to make sure that we have the best possible public schools in America. I'm learning a lot about how we can come together around the things that unite us. I'm learning a lot about the power of showing up in the first place. And I'm also really impressed with the pride in these communities, the things that people have done and the way they've made their towns better. And they want that represented with pride in the governor's office.
Collingsworth County is like 86% Republican, and we didn't have a Democratic chair for
10 or 15 years, I think. It's been a long time. But after your campaign in 2018, a lot of us organized and got motivated to do something on the local level.
The reason that I'm here is to prove the point that we can take no voter for granted. We can write no part of the state off.
I need to know what you can do as a governor to help these rural folks who I believe have been overlooked by both parties for too long.
We see a huge problem with the opioid crisis. It's a big deal here, to the fact that certain smaller towns in this area have been completely overrun by it.
Well, how would you protect the economy and businesses here in the uncertainty of the future?
I'm coming to the end of my 14th year of education, and I've made the decision to leave. And what are your plans to support those teachers who have been in it and doing the hard work in order to keep them there?
We have 4 of the worst mass shootings in U.S. history in this state just in the last 5 years, and that doesn't have to be our future or our fate. We can change that.
You're speaking all these great things that I agree with, but I'm not ready to vote my guns away. I never have a felony, never have any drug possessions. Why should I have to sacrifice my right to own my firearms for everybody else?
I hope that we can both agree that we want to defend the Second Amendment. It's in the Constitution. And just like every constitutionally protected right, it is not unlimited.
You're not going to get our ARs.
Okay.
Thank you. We're not going to let them go.
Okay.
Our ARs or anything else because we have the right to defend ourselves. Second Amendment.
Got you. So we won't agree on AR-15s, that's for sure. But universal background checks is a good place.
Agree on everything.
That's right.
Isn't that right? Isn't
That's
that right?
That's absolutely right.
Okay. That's why we're all different. Right?
Yeah. But let me ask you this. Could you and I agree, we both agree that we should defend the Second Amendment. We both agree that we have a proud tradition in Texas of responsible gun ownership.
Yeah.
Could we get back to that by having universal background checks, where if you're going to buy a firearm, whatever the kind of firearm it is, you have some kind of background.
Absolutely.
Let's start there. There are good Republicans out there. I was raised by my mom, a lifelong Republican, who I converted into a Beto voter, personally at the dinner table, convinced her, Mom, you got to do this one for me. She came through for us, but we all have that Republican mother, so to speak, in our lives. Let's listen to them and find out what's most important to them and connect them with this campaign. When we show up in Lubbock, we certainly want to thank our supporters who come out, but we also want to reach people like Malachi that I met on the way in, who may previously not have been someone who could support me, but who just said, listen, I agree with you on public ed, on the fact that you want to legalize marijuana, on so many things that you want to do. And even on the issue of the Second Amendment, I think we can find some common ground on that. So reaching out to voters who've been written off or taken for granted before, or who've been the targets of voter suppression, they're going to be the margin of victory for us in November.
Uvalde County 911. This is school shooting. Yes, I'm aware. I was talking to you earlier. You're still there in your room? You're still in room 112? Yeah.
Come on, let us do this.
It's good news.
We need to get everybody back.
Just advising we do have a child on the line. Can you tell the police to come to my room? I've already told them to go to the room. We're trying to get someone to you.
412 to all EMS units, stand by. Do not investigate closer, we got shots fired.
I'm in classroom, boys classroom number 112. 112. Please hurry. There's a lot of dead bodies.
The first emergency calls coming Tuesday morning, and they were horrific. An active shooter at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, just west of San Antonio.
Tonight, 18 elementary school children, we have learned, were shot and killed, and 2 adults, including a 4th grade teacher.
Now a massive crime scene as investigators try to piece together what's now the deadliest school shooting in Texas history.
I think I'm more degrees of connection to this mass shooting than I have to any mass shooting in my entire life. It's a time for us to just take the gloves off. It's a time for us to say, like, why is it okay that Greg Abbott has put his entire career off of making all of the gun rules in Texas more lenient and more loose.
All Texans are grieving with the people of Uvalde, and people are rightfully angry. What they need now more than ever is our love.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
This is totally predictable with you. Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you're out of line.
I've talked to the parents in El Paso. I've talked to the parents at Santa Fe High School. I've talked to the parents in Midland, Odessa. They want us to do something right now. I want us to do something right now. We can do something right now. But if we continue to accept this, then it is on us. It's not just the governor's fault. It is on us. I'm not going to accept it. So I'm here. I'm calling attention to this, and I'm asking all Texans of good conscience, and I could care less whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent, to stand up right now for yourself, for your kids, for our families, and to stop the next shooting just like this one.
And what do you say to Governor Greg Abbott?
But the reality is, as horrible as what happened, it could have been worse. The reason it was not worse is because law enforcement officials did what they do.
He says this was unpredictable. It was totally predictable, and I predict this will continue to happen when you continue to have a governor who will not stand up for the people of Texas. His only interest is the gun lobby. He's scheduled to speak at the NRA convention this Friday in Houston, Texas, just days after these kids were slaughtered right here in Uvalde. After they were slaughtered at Santa Fe High School, at Sutherland Springs, in Midland, Odessa, in El Paso, Texas. 5 of the worst mass shootings in U.S. history right here in this state in the last 5 years. He was governor for every single one of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately our next speaker is unable to be with us in person today. So please direct your attention to the screens for a message from Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Hi, this is Governor Greg Abbott, and I want to say welcome to Texas to everybody here. I come before you this afternoon with a very heavy heart. America is grieving with an evil madman that took the innocent lives of school children this past Tuesday.
I'm sad, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, just as everybody else is. But folks didn't elect me to be angry and frustrated and send prayers, which of course I am. Folks elect leaders to make policies to improve the community.
I just heard State Senator Roland Gutierrez, he is the state senator from Uvalde. He has called on Greg Abbott to call a special session to deal with this problem. And we join him in that, don't we? If Greg Abbott can call a special session, and a second special session, and a third special session to keep people from voting, surely he can call a special session to keep babies from being murdered in their classrooms. And that is what we need to demand. I will keep working with everything I've got, but I need backup, and we need change. We need this legislation, and we can achieve it. We are strong. We are not apathetic. We are here, and we keep going. I am so proud of this community. Thank you for standing up for these children. Thank you for standing up for common sense gun laws. Thank you, Harris County. I love you, Harris County.
It's about to be the 10-year anniversary of the Sandy Hook massacre, and gun laws in Texas are actually weaker. Pretty much anybody can buy any gun after Texas passes a permitless carry law.
Those looking to oust Judge Lina Hidalgo from power insist she's weak on crime. Both Democrat and Republican opponents say Harris County, under her leadership, is more a dangerous place to live and work.
The discussion around criminal justice reform in Harris County is complex and oftentimes it's heated.
Judge Lina Hidalgo, she's really become a progressive icon for advocating this radical and perverse view of bail reform that is continually putting the focus on the justice for violent offenders.
There are many parts of the system. There isn't a single part that is at fault for the crime wave. It's easy to pander and just be like, tough on crime, lock them all up, quadruple the police force. But, we tried that and it didn't work.
Every year, more than 70,000 people return from Texas prisons. And 1 million people cycle through Texas county jails. 80% of inmates who go through the Harris County Jail end up reincarcerated.
Texas has this banner of being tough on crime. We haven't been tough, we've been stupid. We've been locking up innocent people. We've been locking up all our children. My name is Anthony Graves, and I'm an exoneree. I'm a death row exoneree number 138 in the United States. I was falsely accused, wrongfully convicted, and I spent 18 and a half years in Texas death row.
We're back now with a fascinating twist of fate for a man who spent years on death row, convicted of a crime it turns out he never committed.
Anthony Graves is the 12th death row inmate to be exonerated in the state of Texas.
And since his release in 2010, Graves has been working nonstop to help others in the same situation.
I don't know how to explain what I witnessed without attaching how inhumane it really was for us as human beings to treat each other this way. For a mother to accept that the state would kill someone else's child when you have a child for something that he may or may not have done. You don't know. You're going on what the state said. You did that to me for 18 and a half years, and I knew absolutely nothing about a case. Didn't have that background. It's not that type of person. But I experienced living on death row here in America for something I knew absolutely nothing about, and you guys were okay with it. This is something that gives me back my life, is to come in here and mentor you guys through what you're going through, because I've gone through it. 18 and a half years, 2 execution dates. I witnessed over 400 people get murdered around me. No matter what the outcome gonna be in that courtroom, any of your cases, that is not the end. That is not your life. That is only for 5 minutes. And then after that, you have to decide what you're gonna do with the rest of your life. What path am I gonna choose? And I say choose because you still have a choice. When that judge sentences you or whatever that happens in there, that doesn't define you, man. What defines you is how you respond to it. You're gonna do great things. I already feel that. Yes, you give me a call me, man. Today I find myself working for the Harris County Public Defender's Office. I am the community liaison, right? So my role right now is to educate people about criminal justice and criminal justice reform and what that actually looks like. So these letters come to me from all over the world, all the time. And this is just a handful of many, many letters that come to me from guys that are in prison, in jail, and they're asking me to save their life. They're asking me to get involved in their case. They're asking me to do something, right? Because they know that that's what I do. I represent them out here, I go to their attorneys, I reach out to different organizations on their behalf, and I try to get them some help. We have a system that we see and that we know do not work, and yet we try to uphold it. That's really on us. We have a big problem with our criminal system, and I think the biggest problem is we have politicians that are selling us things that are not true. They're dividing us where we can't get to the truth. And we, the people, need to take a step back, and we need to reverse this thing, because we've forgotten that those politicians that we go to the polls and vote for work for us.
My name is Hannah Horick. I'm the
Democratic County Party chair in Ector County in West Texas, but I also work for an agency that serves adult survivors of domestic and sexual violence. We serve mostly women who have been survivors of rape, survivors of other forms of sexual assault, but the vast majority of them are also survivors of domestic violence.
We have new information tonight about the impact Texas's restrictive abortion law is having since it went into effect.
Many women are having to wait several weeks or face being denied care.
The law known as Senate Bill 8 prohibits abortions after 6 weeks. It also allows people to sue abortion providers and people who help others get them.
And we watched the legislature just really gut our rights in Texas. The idea that we can't even make exceptions for things like rape or incest in this state is just unconscionable to me.
This morning, growing outrage over Governor Greg Abbott's stunning response to a question about why Texas's new abortion law lacks an exception for rape or incest. The Republican governor's answer: his state will eliminate the crime of rape altogether.
And Texas will work tirelessly to make sure that we eliminate all rapists from the streets of Texas by aggressively going out and arresting them and prosecuting them and getting them off the streets.
The irony for me that restricting access to abortion is supposed to be focused on life is just, it's just really painful. My line of work has taught me that pregnant women are at significantly higher risk for physical abuse, for death, not to mention that Texas has a just embarrassing maternal mortality and morbidity rate. So we're not serving women whether they intended to be pregnant or not.
Becoming a sanctuary city for the unborn, it means abortions would basically be banned within city limits. You'll remember at the beginning of the year, we told you it could be a possibility for the city of Odessa.
So much of that really toxic right-wing politics has infiltrated Texas as a whole, and specifically like the legislature, but seeing it come down and hit Odessa in such a visceral way so immediately, like walking into our very first city council work session and having an abortion ban on the list of things to discuss was just so gut-wrenching right off the bat. This ordinance fails pregnant survivors of rape, childhood sexual assault, incest, domestic violence, and coercion.
Nationwide! Nationwide! Legal abortion! Legal abortion!
At the Supreme Court today, an historic upheaval. In a sweeping ruling that overturned a half a century of precedents, 5 justices ended the right of American women to choose abortion under the Constitution.
Right now, new laws banning abortion are taking effect in several states, just hours after the court overturned the landmark Roe v. Wade decision, leaving it to states to decide whether abortion is legal.
I genuinely believe this election is about life and death for people. When the Supreme Court says we're handing this back to the states, and when your state doesn't believe in the right to choose, it's not just clear to advocates, it's clear to everyone the real consequences that this has for people.
We're here in Dallas at the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center for the 2022 Texas Democratic Party Convention. For me, convention's it. The starting gun is going off. We are ready. We are hearing from our candidates. You have no excuse to not know who's trying to represent you, who's doing the work, and all these ways about how you can get involved. And I think convention, for me, is that moment of there's no doubt. We are running, we are moving, and we aren't going to stop until that first week in November.
The answer to this moment is action. It's knocking on doors, it's registering voters, it's talking to our fellow Texans and bringing them into this democracy. It's thinking about the 7 million who were eligible but did not vote in 2020 and giving them an invitation to participate in the most important election of their lifetimes. These are the very people targeted by Greg Abbott through voter suppression and voter intimidation. But with your work, they will be the margin of victory on the night of November 8th.
Thousands of us are gathered here at the Texas Democratic Convention to win elections and make sure that we're able to codify abortion rights permanently into law. But between now and when those abortion rights are permanently made possible in our state, Texans need help. Our constituents and our families need support. A lot of folks then after their primary in a district like mine that's so Democratic, just take a pause on their campaign and take a break. But for us, we actually want to keep that momentum going because folks in my district aren't safe, the people in this state aren't safe from discrimination and gun violence and attacks on their basic rights. And so we have kept pushing. But the fact of the matter is there's real people's lives on the line. And I'm damn proud of the folks that are willing to go and fight for the right thing and work really hard to win elections. But this isn't some kind of game. And I think seeing Roe v. Wade fall hopefully really makes that clear for people.
The premise of how I see the state is you don't get a total abortion ban. You don't get this mass exodus of teachers from the classrooms. You don't get the pursuit of transgender kids by their governor. You don't get this extremism unless you have a badly broken democracy.
When you talk to the generations of Black people who have built Texas, the generations of Latinos who have built Texas, the generations of, working white families who have built Texas, what we currently have is not what we all signed up for. What we currently have is not what generations toiled for. It's not why my grandmother migrated here from Mexico. This is not it.
I talk about how this governor tries to scare you about the people who are coming to get you or the kid who'll be in your child's bathroom at public school. He's also trying to scare us about the border.
On Wednesday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott demanded the federal government return land that was supposed to go towards Trump's now defunded federal wall so Texas can use that land and build a wall of its own.
In Del Rio, this so-called steel barrier in place. The governor of Texas ordering state troopers to line up vehicles on the border to deter migrants from crossing.
What Texas has done, we now have 6,500 National Guard and DPS troopers on the border to help secure the border. And as we're talking right now, they are identifying locations on the border where they are laying down razor wire. We are working to both secure the border immediately, while at the same time, on the long-term process, build the wall.
We are 8 years into his time as governor, and this is what we have on our border. In fact, $4 billion into Operation Lone Star, we're seeing not fewer, but more encounters at our border right now. What we need is a safe, legal, orderly path for anyone who wants to come here to work, to join family, or to seek asylum. If you come to this country, we expect you to follow the law. But on our side, we're going to make sure that our laws reflect our values and our interests.
I'm just more convinced than ever that we as a state are so much better than what we see from those who govern us today. This extremism, this hate, this fear that they stoke, this violence that they incite, that is not us. It's not the people of Texas, not at all. And when the people of Texas show up, I think we're going to get back to who we really are at our best.
My parents came to this country because they believed that it would be better for them and for me. And so I am very determined to create that, not by changing myself to conform to that society, but through an attempt to change the society and who fits into it. It's just helps me get out of my head and focus on something else. It reminds me of the world outside. I think the meme that people use now is go outside and touch some grass and get off the internet. It's like me touching some grass. But instead of touching the grass, I'm photographing the grass.
I just want to ask you, talk about what's happened since then.
Well, 12 is the number of investigations that they were able to open that we know of, right? That doesn't account for the number of suspected trans kids that were reported. We have reports from all over Texas right now where schools are telling their teachers and their administrators that they have to do this under Texas law. So we've still created a vigilante system in Texas to report transgender kids and their parents for suspected child abuse. Losing your kid is an impossible feeling. And after years of talking about family separation in an immigration front and what that means and what that feels like for people, that is what trans kids are fearing. Like, can you imagine like being a child and like having your most intimate everyday fear be that they're going to take you away from your parents and place you into a broken foster care system where LGBTQ kids are already overrepresented? And that is still that's a frightening reality to live in. Frightening and fragile, I think, reality to live in.
My hope is that people will get involved in making change in the criminal system. They'll listen to my story and it'll be compelling enough to where if they've never gotten involved with the criminal justice system, if they've never voted, if they never ran for city council, my story will invoke that type of emotion and that type of action that they would want to get involved to make change, whatever that is, you know. I always tell people that, hey, you know, we always talk about what the politicians do, and the politicians don't pass these bills, and the politicians are this. And I say that, you know, you got a problem with the politicians, they're not doing it the right way. Hey, run for office. This is how we make change. We need the right people in place to make that type of change. And if you see that it's not happening, instead of you complaining about it, be about it. What motivated me in prison was that I was innocent. And I was not gonna allow society to think that my mom raised a murderer. I wasn't gonna do that because she did not raise a murderer. She raised a good son, and I want the whole world to know that. I'm a good person. My mom raised a good son. I'm a good dad to my children, all right? What keep me going now is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. Hope that you guys gonna come up and change the world. You're gonna be our next elected officials, you're gonna be our judges, you're gonna be running this country. So you give me hope, you know? I look at you guys and I see what all y'all doing and it's hopeful. All right, my man. All right, man. Come by, man. Thank you. You want to take a picture with you? Oh, man, yes, definitely. This is my son right here. Oh, hey, how you doing, man?
Adrian.
Oh, man.
Nice to meet you, Anthony.
It's the people on the ground that's gonna have to make the change. It's a real grassroots effort. It's getting in front of your legislative body and speaking your truth on these issues, right? It is really getting out there in front and holding your elected officials accountable. We, the people, can make this change because it's our democracy. We, the people, and we continue to forget that. And we look at politicians, and politicians are trying to create careers. We, the people, need to actually create the change.
The Texas we have today, as reflected by our government, the laws that they're passing, the jackassery that is making headlines around the world today, that is not a reflection of who we are, our core values, what we know to be true as Texans, as Americans, as human beings, because that's who we are at the end of the day before we're Republicans or Democrats or independents or anything else.
Now, more than 95,000 volunteers who have signed up and said, hey, give me a clipboard, put me on the doors, people who are phone banking, writing letters, showing up to events like these, organizing on college campuses.
Workers' rights were born in Texas, civil rights were born in Texas. We're going to bring them back, and we're going to bring them back. What do y'all say?
Today we're voting, exercising our right to vote.
The only way our voices are heard is if we get out and vote, right?
I'm just so proud of everyone who's running, who's fighting hard, all of you leaders, activists, making sure that we fight and win this election.
There's just so much excitement in the air coming around election time, and I'm just excited to see how this all shakes out.
Beto O'Rourke! Yeah, I just voted for the first time in Texas.
The answer is organizing. And I know that I'm not going alone. I know that I'm taking all of y'all with me.
We're setting the groundwork for what really needs to be done in like the next, 5, 10, 15 years.
We have volunteers here who have sign-up sheets, and on those sign-up sheets are block walking shifts to go meet those folks.
The work that each of you guys are doing, it's about democracy, and it is about truth.
How we doing?
It's not an option not to participate. My future is at stake. I think the future of other people is at stake.
The work is not yet done. It's nowhere near yet done.
done. It's just getting started.
It is mid-October, October 14th, and I'm feeling really energized.
Yo, yo, yo. What's going down? What's up? Good to see you. What up?
You know, we're really trying to make like meaning out of the fact that Texas is #1 when it comes to the number of Black people who call Texas home. You know, I'm a 4th generation Texan. The amount of, we're the most registered Black voters than anywhere else in the country. And they're just like too quiet. You know, it's like the best kept secrets. Okay, so for the particular program, the desired outcomes are to touch 1.4 million Black voters across the state. That's 2/3 in the 10 counties with the densest concentration of Black voters.
You know, Lina might for real lose. I don't know if y'all like, I don't know what side you live on. You live in Fort Benton proper, Stafford. But I'm saying like they're like, it's tight. Like the Houston Chronicle endorsed the other one, Mealer or whatever her name is. Like they're coming, you know? So, I mean, I think that makes like our program even that much more critical. So like the priorities are like you in Harris and you in Fort Bend.
At the end, I need to be closer to Harris County. Like, I need to turn it up in Harris County closer to the end. Like the first, like next week, I could do Jefferson a little bit, and then after that, it needs to like move back to like home base.
Our outreach program is targeting the 10 counties in Texas with the densest concentration of Black voters. The only way to build progressive power in Texas is through meaningful and sustained engagement with Black folks.
Well, I'll leave this for your mom, it seems like.
And those two things are true, like meaningful and sustained. Like it can't just be, we're here for your vote and then we're not here again. You know, we really are having conversations that meet people like where they are and then hopefully inspire them to participation.
I know the fundamentals still show, like numerically, Republicans still have a bigger base in the state of Texas than Democrats do. Numerically, we are still behind on catching up on voter registration and certainly on catching up on like making our side habitual voters. Harris County scares the shit out of me this cycle. Lina Hidalgo has been one of the youngest elected officials in our state. Like, she has a lot to point to where she's helped a lot of people. And then, of course, the opposition, which is basically like anyone she ever picked a fight with, which includes a lot of money interests. You've got like real estate, oil and gas, like massive major interests are aligning against her. I mean, honestly, it's like, probably Lina's race is the one that keeps me up the most at night. Like, I don't know how we point to Harris County as a model for the state if Lina loses.
Many times, I sat across from people who looked at me and they just couldn't get past my age or what I looked like or the fact that I wanted to do something different with county government. That I dared suggest that county government work on early childhood education or criminal justice reform or gun safety or women's rights or environmental protection. Anything beyond roads and bridges. It couldn't possibly be contemplated. But that's what we bring to the table, an ignorance of limitations. Harris County, the largest county in this state, for decades, was a rubber stamp for Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick, and they liked it that way. And now, we actually do some work, and they don't like that we stand up for ourselves and that we speak up for ourselves. They don't like that. You all are the future. They are scared of this. They are scared of you speaking up, participating, reaching out to your networks, daring to run for office at whatever age you want to run for office. You are the doers, you are the dreamers. So don't let anybody ask you, do you understand what you're doing? Because you do understand what you're doing. You are here because you understand what you're doing, and you're gonna get us to victory and positive change.
So, now you can tell me how yoga and everything was.
Yoga was good.
Yeah?
Yeah, today we were like working on balance stuff.
From the launch of the election to now, people being so excited and seeing a potential there. I think what he says resonates with people, it resonates with young people, and also he shows a lot of like love, compassion, and empathy when he leads.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Get us?
I'll have some right now.
You know, since winning the primary, there have been a lot of people who've said, Greg, you're in the safe seat. You know, you should take this time to just stop. But any day that I kind of really, truly stop and slow down, I start thinking about all of the important things there are to do, and actually it can re-energize me to be knocking doors or to be talking to people.
Yeah, not in person.
I don't know if they've let you know, but I'm like basically handing it off to you to start it. Like I'm gonna do housekeeping and hand it right over to you.
That's it. That's it. That's all. Thank you.
Hey, man. Good to see you.
How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. This is a good little drop-in for this block walk, man. I appreciate you being here. How's everybody feeling this morning? So thank you guys so much for being out here and doing the work. I know so many people are checking their news, asking what the polls are saying, but this race is not just within the margin of error, it's within the margin of effort. You guys are putting in the work. If we put the work in, not only do we keep Bexar County as blue as the Texas sky, we drive the voters we need. While this governor's race, of course, is of critical importance, life or death importance for so many Texans, what Beto O'Rourke has been doing has been inspiring us and reminding us that we are not a red state, we're an under-organized state. We just want to thank you so very much, because block walking and doing this work is the least we can do compared to the sacrifices you and your family and your team have made for years and years and years.
So it's the Friday before the election, and I've never felt so close, I think, to an election as I do this weekend. Like, I'm just very aware of how much time is left, but also how little time is left. If I ran this right now, we have Ector County, who is not, it's the last day of early voting in Texas. And for us, that means, getting folks to the polls tonight. Okay, so let's get you a walk list. Are y'all you want to use minivan for this?
I've never used minivan.
Let's get that set up. Download it on your phone while we're working on this. It's really the culmination of like all the work that everybody put in over the course of a year. And so there's a whole lot riding on these next couple of days.
So we're 3 days to the election. The focus right now is getting out the vote. The turnout was a little bit lower this past week than we were hoping for. There are enough people for us to win, and we just need them to go out and vote. There's so much at stake this election, but there's also so much hope. They wouldn't be coming after Harris County the way they are if we hadn't changed things for the better. My opponent has raised over $10 million at this point. I think she's probably past $12 million. And she has support from Senator Ted Cruz, a lot of far-right national and state money.
She's on the front lines defending democracy and protecting elections here in the largest county in Texas. We must re-elect Lina.
This block walk, and a lot of the block walks that we're doing from now through Election Day, are not just like other block walks. This is a knock every door block walk.
Yeah, you all have already received your training, right?
Yeah.
Ready to knock on doors?
Right.
Yeah. Appreciate you all doing this. This is literally the most important work towards winning this election. Nothing else is as powerful, nothing else breaks through like seeing another human face at your door.
Well, we're volunteers for the Beto O'Rourke campaign.
You can get and there you go, you can fill this out right quick. I appreciate you bringing the flyer. You're like, we're in Houston. We're actually at the Shack, giving out brisket sandwiches and having a party. We're also trying to encourage people to go out and vote. Have y'all voted yet?
No, I didn't.
But I was just doing the numbers, and we said we wanted to outreach to 1.4 million black folks. And like when I was adding everything up, it was like 1.398. Like it's like, it's coming together.
It is Election Day in America. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Hello, welcome to Tuesday, Election Day. I'm Len Cannon.
The polls have been busy on this election day, and you still have time to make your voices heard. The polls are open until 7 o'clock tonight, and you can still vote even if you are in line at 7.
Yeah, how are you? Good to see you.
Same here.
Yeah,
Same
good to see
here.
you.
We're helping you out.
What's
Dude.
up,
We
man?
got your name on our list.
Really? Oh, yeah. How has it been out here?
There's nothing that many people, but
Yeah. You headed in there to vote? Wanted to say hi, I'm Greg. I'm going to be, if you're over here on the east side, I'm at the top of your ballot for Congress.
Awesome.
It's election day, and so we're talking with voters coming in. Each and every vote makes a big difference. Yeah, where do you teach?
I teach middle school social studies.
Okay, cool. Hey, y'all, it's Greg. It's so important, if you haven't gotten out to vote, to head to your nearest polling location as soon as you can. We are seeing great turnout here on Election Day compared to so many other midterm elections, governor elections, and so please go and make your voice heard.
Spread the word.
Yes, we will. Everybody. Thank you so much for running and doing this.
Here we go. Now I want to introduce your current and future county judge, Lina Hidalgo.
Who's already voted? Who's already telling all their friends and family to vote? Let's make this happen. Let's vote. Let's get Beto in office. Let's get Briones in office. Together we will win, and we'll do it with truth, and we'll do it with honesty, and we'll do it to protect our democracy. Thank you all so much.
This is a race that they're looking at nationwide. It's a pretty tight race. Alexandria Miller just trailing behind by 49% of the votes. Lina Hidalgo at 51%.
And holding those 3 RGB seats, that's a big deal. Or two of the 3, I should say.
According to Crystal Zermenio, FYI on early vote for Lina. Lina was up by 10,000 votes. In 2018, she was down by 5,000 votes in early vote, and she won Election Day by 7 percentage points. And Michelle, anyway, everybody's going like,
Let's take a look at some new statewide numbers. This is the race for governor. This is statewide right now. We're not exactly clear where this is coming from. Greg Abbott with 60% of the vote. Beto O'Rourke with 40% of the vote.
Hey, y'all. Hey, baby. Hey, Raya. How you doing? It's good to see you. Did you see some dude just asked me about early vote numbers? You know, Peoples is down by like 5%. 5 percentage points, something like 21,000 votes.
Oh, 21,000?
You said 300,000?
He's down 300,000? I'm curious how South Texas is going to be voting.
Thank you for coming to our party. Yes. Tea party. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. We don't know what Election Day vote's gonna look like, but at least it's not like mathematically impossible for us to win.
Yeah, hey Chris, you know, the term seesaw has kind of been thrown out in this race as those numbers start to trickle in because, you know, at one point, one candidate could be up over the other, and as supporters start to arrive here at this party, we see the little ripples of celebration when they see with those numbers coming in that maybe for a moment Beto's numbers are a bit higher, so we're actually hearing that reaction there. You know, this is a campaign that, you know, Beto O'Rourke acknowledged was going to come down to every single vote counting.
I'm just so grateful to every single person here. Everyone on the campaign side, y'all have been working so hard. And I'm also more than ever excited to continue doing the work. So that means we really have to cross fingers and make sure that we come out of it.
I don't know about you, but I am so fired up right now. The vote is in. Tonight, you are sending Austin's first Latino and one of the most progressive, forward-looking leaders our community has had in some time to Washington, D.C. Greg Casar.
Greg Casar, and I want to thank you for electing me to the United States Congress.
We're getting breaking news on new race results and want to bring those straight to you. Texas Governor, CBS News predicts Greg Abbott will win re-election as governor of Texas. That means Beto O'Rourke has lost another campaign.
53% of the vote going to Greg Abbott and Beto O'Rourke, 45%.
And they ask us at some point down the road, what were you up to when all these terrible things were going on in Texas and when we still had a chance to do something about it? We want them to know that we stood to be counted. Just want a state where people are free enough and healthy enough to be able to pursue their potential and rise to fulfill their true promise. A state where we are not defined or divided based on our differences, but find the common interest for the common good right here on the common ground before us. Well, that still is the Texas that I want to live in. That is the dream that I, and I hope all of us, will continue to pursue. I don't know what form that will take. I don't know what my role or yours will be going forward, but I'm in this fight for life. I'm in this with you.
Major races to determine the leaders of Harris and Fort Bend counties.
The results in both races still too close to call. For the Harris County judges race, 77% of voting centers reporting.
Percent of votes have been tallied so far in Harris. 59.8 for Lina, 40 for Mueller.
Yeah, Harris County's gonna kill me. Go to bed. Go to bed, winners.
It's a good time to go to bed.
Night night.
Election night is a wrap.
Many close races nationwide, and in Texas, one of the biggest late decisions came yesterday in Harris County for the top seat there. We'll have more on an extremely close contest for Harris County judge in just a few minutes.
The Harris County judge's race is over. Republican challenger Alexandra Mueller has conceded to incumbent Lina Hidalgo. With all the county's precincts reporting, we can tell you Hidalgo led Mueller by just under 16,000 votes.
Fabulous.
Congratulations. Thank you. I'm so excited. Y'all did it. I'm gonna finish writing the speech. Okay, sending thank you messages. But we earned every vote. And we earned it not with exaggerations or falsehoods. We earned them with hard work. Something like that. It's disorganized right now. All right, I'm gonna take this out. I don't think this. The only way we move forward is by participating in our democracy, and that is what we did yesterday and over the past few weeks. So thank you for entrusting me with your vote. And those that didn't vote for me, thank you for voting. And know I'm right there fighting for you. Elections should not be about pitting one group against each other. Our nation is too divided right now, and it's been divided for too many years. But the truth is, as someone who went to high school here, as someone who achieved the American dream here, I can tell you all our families want the same thing. We want opportunity. We want good jobs. We want a beautiful community. We're proud of this county. But we also recognize that the county's not perfect, that the work is not done. We are just getting started.
Well, that's good. That's a good start to getting to talk with you. Thank you guys for giving us a little break to listen to it, but I'm sure you guys wanted to hear it too. People think, an election and somebody wins and somebody loses, but really The question is, what kind of a country are we going to be and what kind of a state are we going to be coming out of these years of crisis? And I think part of the answer is like we're still in process of figuring that out and that we're still in the middle of the fight, and that's why we're in the office the day after the election. Thank you, man. We'll catch you around. Good talking with you again. Bye.
One of the things that I've noticed about this state is that when days are at their darkest, when the chips are down, when people are going through the hardest times in their lives, it brings out the very best in everyone else.
There really isn't any reason, you know, in the wealthiest country in the world that we don't have access to health care, that everyone can't go to the doctor if they're sick. There isn't a reason why someone else has to make a decision about what I do with my body. And that's mine to make. I can self-determine that. I think every kid deserves an excellent education, like excellent education that allows them to like imagine and think outside the box and believe in themselves and believe in the people around them. That should be within all of our reach in Texas.
We treat progress as though it's inevitable, and it's not. You go through school in this country thinking that progress is inevitable, that things were bad, but they're gonna get better, right? And so how do we grapple with that fundamental lie to be able to fight? Organizing in our communities is what is my theory of change fundamentally.
We're not a country that take rights. When people are talking about them taking our freedoms, it's like, yeah, right. I mean, because we're not used to that. We're America. We are a democracy. So, yeah, whatever. That's not gonna happen to us. It's happening. And we gotta get out of this naive state. Everything is being examined that we have fought so hard to acquire.
If some of us hold steadfastly to this vision of preserving decency and respectability and government that really delivers, I really have to hope that we can return there and improve on that.
We're all here for the long haul. Like, we're not going anywhere. We're sticking in this fight. Breonna Brown ran one of the biggest Black political programs in this state's history. Beto O'Rourke registered more voters than any gubernatorial election has ever registered voters. All of that adds up. When we get to 2024, when we get to 2026 and onward, we're gonna look back and say, like, you don't get here without that.
This year, and really even the last several, remind us that it's that incremental change. We can do more with everybody doing just a small digestible piece.
Abraham Lincoln had this quote. It says, we have to save our union and then make it worthy of forever being saved, right? And so that means we have to both save and protect our democracy, but then show that our democracy can deliver real important change for working people so that folks can remember why it's so important to save our democracy.
You are now members of the 118th Congress.
I'm Greg Casar, and I represent the heart of Texas.
It's hard for me to fathom how Texas could be ever written out of a picture about the future of this country and the future of like building a progressive country. Like Texas, for me, should be like front and center, you know?